everyone, it's Simon Keeling here on Monday the 18th of November. Thanks again for watching. This is the look ahead video which is brought to you with our good friends at Easy Melt. This way during the course of this week, as you no doubt know, temperatures are going to be falling. Just interesting first of all to look through the pressure charts. I just wanted to show you these and how they progress during the coming few hours. This is the chart. Chart times are shown up here, and if I just get back to the beginning here, I'll be able to show you what I want to show you. Here we go. Let's just whiz back. You see, it's so professional and slick here, isn't it? This is the chart for this afternoon. We've got this front that's clearing its way southwards at the moment. There it goes, taking out breakers rain with it. Actually, it's quite a narrow band of some pretty heavy rain on that front at the moment. The colder areas are really coming in behind it here into the northwest. That's going to be producing some snow showers during the course of this afternoon. Now, what I want to show you is as this sequence progresses, look, you notice high pressure that's out towards the west here. So this is the area of high pressure centred down here. Watch this feature up here though, and watch what happens. There's the flow for tomorrow, this cold northerly screaming down through the country during the course of tomorrow. Some snow showers affecting some coastal areas, probably falling as snow as far south as the Welsh Mountains. Maybe a little bit of snow even at lower levels across southern England during the course of tomorrow afternoon as the cold air sets in. Could just be a dusting at low levels too for some, but I think that's the exception rather than the rule. It shouldn't be too bad a day. But look at that area of low pressure up towards the north. So this is the situation as of midnight going into Wednesday. There's the area of low pressure. Look, now watch what happens to that area of low pressure. Here it is tumbling down the North Sea. Look, there it goes. It drags itself down the North Sea during the course of Wednesday. It's going to be bringing a cold and windy day, a real raw feel to the day during the course of Wednesday, and it will be bringing snow over high ground, particularly Scotland, Northern England, parts of the Midlands and Wales as well. But I stress, this is mainly high ground. There could just be touches of it at lower levels, but I think really it's just going to be a cold, cold day. Then the area of low pressure eventually clears off towards the south, look, and we find a ridge of high pressure building in by the close of play on Friday, and that's the scene by the weekend. Now, by then, we've got a problem because we've got a big question mark hanging over the models, and I'll show you why that should be. Different models presenting different solutions. This is the CFS for the rest of the month. It's the 500 millibar height anomalies, and I want to show you this just to show you exactly what's going on, where the problem is. By the way, you can get this from the weather website. What you do is you go to charts here at the top of the page, click on charts, and then down the left hand side of the page here you get the option for CFS long range. So if you click on that and then down here go to CFS monthly, that brings you up this series of charts, and under Northern Hemisphere is where you'll find this chart that I'm showing you now. So here's what it's saying. This is the important part. Look, the problem is these lower than normal heights and the area of low pressure centred across Greenland and across the pole. This is having a big impact on how our ridge and high pressure develops, because what's happening here is the flow's coming in across the Atlantic, it's hitting the ridge, it's being driven northwards, which builds the high, and under normal circumstances, if that ridge could get further north, it would bring just screaming cold northerlies. However, the CFS says it comes up against the low, and we then get, yes, north to northeasterlies coming in, but where that trough is, look, that then deepens off in the Mediterranean. It pulls our flow back more into the northeast all the time through this weekend and into next week, which brings, yes, cool conditions, very frosty conditions across Scotland and Ireland, cool for all of us, but not cold. Now, there is a difference between the models because that's what the CFS is saying, and essentially that's what the GFS Ensemble is telling us too. If we just run through the pattern here, the times of these charts are shown here, look. So this is the chart valid for 6 o'clock this morning, and just watch what happens as it goes forwards in 12-hour steps. Here's Thursday. Did I mention Thursday was my birthday, by the way? I might have done just, once or twice, just in passing. Anyway, there it is. There's the ridge building in during the course of Thursday. There you can see the classic and meagre shape to the ridge here, and the cold air pumping down to feed up this cold pool that's centred down across the Med. Now watch what happens as the sequence moves on. Look, the ridge can't build any further north. Look, it's coming up against this sharp jet that you can see here just whizzing through. So what that's doing is it's forcing the air back south. It's accentuating that trough. So yeah, we get air coming from a chilly source, but at this time of year, the air kind of up here and out here isn't actually that cold. And then as the sequence progresses onwards, you notice that we still get that northeasterly flow, but still, if you just follow the isobars back, you notice that the source air is coming from here and flowing around like so. And that then takes us into next week as far as the GFS Ensemble sees it. So we stay cold, yes, we stay frosty, but we're not as cold as we could be. In fact, I'll stop using the word cold, I'm going to say chilly. Okay, so that's what this is trying to do just at the moment. Now, if we look at the ECMWF, different solution. This is the ECMWF chart valid for midnight on the 18th. So this was a midnight last night. Now, this go forward in 24-hour steps, so we've got to watch this one carefully, but watch what happens. Okay, here we are on Thursday, of course, important day on Thursday. You all know why. And then into Friday, what it's trying to show us as we get in towards Friday and into Saturday, look, is, excuse me, yes, we still have the ridge out in the Atlantic, which is building north here, but it's trying to generate a secondary ridge that's off towards the northwest. As we go on by 24-hour steps, look, it then manages to get further north. So the ridge flow here, look, is managing to get north around this new ridge that's formed. And what it does, it continues to go northwards, it picks up in the trough, and then the trough sends that flow southwards through here. So our temperatures fall off again as the wind comes in from a much colder source. And the effect of that is that with the wind coming in from that colder source, it deepens off the trough even more in the Mediterranean. It builds the ridge even more out towards the west of the UK, and it brings an even stronger northerly flow down northern and eastern parts of the country. So this is the colder pattern. This is the colder alternative to the pattern that we saw on the GFS. Of course, the consistency through all this is the idea that high pressure is still around, but this is certainly the colder of the scenarios. And if we take the ECMWF forwards, look, eventually you do see that high building off towards the north, but the flow is still coming around across more northern latitudes. Yes, it comes in on a northeasterly through the UK, but it means that this low also managed to get further north in towards central parts of Europe, which in turn increases the risk of rain, sleet and snow being flung around into the British Isles next week. And the ECMWF just wants to keep that pattern in place of the east to northeasterly flow. So eventually temperatures would rise, and at this sort of point in 10 days time, temperatures would be picking up ever so slightly. But of course we're getting later into the winter, which means that it's getting ever colder, which means that actually those temperatures recovering start to mean less and less. And also interesting to note as well, on the ECMWF here, look, what happens in 10 days time? We get another ridge building in the Atlantic. This starting to pump its way back northwards again, and the same pattern starts to get itself established. And what could happen is that this ridge here links with this ridge here, and that brings us straight into a north and northeasterly flow lasting into the early parts of December. We've just got to watch it to see how it develops. I'm still going to go for the colder first half of December, milder second half of the month, but we'll see how things progress. And I suppose while we've got this on, we should really just quickly, let's just whiz through these, have a quick look. What do I want? I don't want that, do I? Come on, where are you? What I want to show you is that one for, let's just have a look for December. This is the flow pattern for December, look, and I think what this is trying to say on the CFS is that, yeah, there will be high pressure and higher than normal height centered out towards the east, out towards the west of the country. So this will be the high in here. That's the tendency to the northeasterly flow, with a low pressure centered off here across Europe. So, but I think that's the situation more so at the beginning of the month, and the hemispheric one is looking like this. So the hemispheric showing us there's the higher than normal heights, look here, out towards the west. There's the part of our Omega block that manages to split off out towards the east. And there's the low look down there across the Mediterranean. And here's the trough off the eastern coast of the States. I think what that does is it probably then lends itself more into a pattern becoming generally more westerly as we head into January, and that's certainly what the CFS again shows. Look, through January is this screaming west to southwesterly blowing through during January. Not to say that it's going to be overly mild. I actually think temperatures probably near normal. Could be some colder spells on there, but certainly looks like being a windier, more unsettled period of weather end of December into the early part of January. So plenty to discuss there and to follow up on through the course of the week. So once again, thanks again for watching weatherweb.net. Don't forget we kept free of charge by the adverts you see around the screen. So when you come back and use the site and use the adverts, that's what keeps us free of charge. And a great thanks to our friends over at EasyMelt. But for now, thanks for watching and keep the sun shining. Bye for now.